Yeah! Yeah!
All right.
With season 4 of The Boys officially in production, it's left us more excited than any other season, partly because of the number of ways this season can ultimately go. Homelander has always been a very on-edge character and someone people feared, but one of his major weaknesses is his public perception. He's a very lonely and insecure person, so despite his craziness, he would never hurt people if it meant the destruction of his reputation. But after the season 3 finale, when he was cheered by the crowd for killing a protester that threw a bottle at his son, a majority of fans think that the meaning of this is to set up Homelander's deadliest season, but I personally think that there are up to 4 ways the next season can go. And before we can make a valuable prediction about what we'll see from Homelander in season 4, we gotta understand a major thing about what we've seen in the show so far, and that being the finale. Many people, including myself, think that Homelander realizing he can do anything and get away with it is a confirmation that season 4 will be his deadliest season. But we also need to take into account that this incident won't go unnoticed. There is gonna be a lot of backlash for it, so it all depends on how Homelander handles it from there. And looking back on prior seasons to see how Homelander usually handles public reactions, it's clear he has a pretty big god complex and he thinks he's always in the right. But the difference with these scenarios is that they're very minor in comparison to what he did in the season 3's finale. With this information in mind, I've come up with 4 likely theories of what we can see from Homelander in season 4. Number 1, mass destruction. I'm starting off with this theory because it's the most hyped one out of the 4, and I personally think it's the coolest, though it might not be that realistic. The way this goes is that after Homelander starts getting backlash for what he did to the protester, he also gets support from the people who love him, especially Todd. And since these people that support him are his new way of feeling loved, anyone he remotely loved is dead now, he'll basically become a cult leader and do what makes him loved by them. And whether that's straight up murdering civilians or taking down powerful people around him so he comes out on top. And he'll most likely be doing all of this with his son Ryan and the rest of the supes that join him in the finale. Also, a little bit of spoilers, so skip to the timestamp if you want to avoid these. But some behind the scenes images and also some news that we know. First being the news is that we know 2 new supes are coming in season 4, Sister Sage and Firecracker. And in behind the scenes photos, we see Homelander with the remaining 7 who join him in the finale, and Firecracker and Sister Sage. So what I potentially think this means is that, after Homelander gets backlash, he'll, continue killing people if he wants to, but he'll also, to gain the respect of his cult following, rebuild the 7. And that's what Sister Sage and Firecracker are for. But there are quite a few flaws with this route, and first being, what's the ultimate goal? Once Homelander has committed mass murder and killed those he resented, like Stan Edgar and maybe even the boys or some of the boys, what happens next? He'll still be disliked by an even bigger majority, and he'll realize he took the wrong approach. Also, if he does take this route, he won't kill the boys because, it is confirmed there's going to be a season 5, and those are the lead characters, right? Which means if he does take this route, he'll end up most likely dying, because a redemption arc would be completely unrealistic in this scenario, because with his powers, he would do a lot of destruction, right? So I don't think he's going to take this route. I think he's going to stay alive, which is going to lead me into my next prediction. Homelander teams up with Stan Edgar. I want to show you guys this clip real quick.
The company is yours. No one left to stand up to you. But I think you'll come to sorely regret that.
And why is that?
Because there's no one left to cover for you either. Eventually, probably soon, the world will recognize you for the pitiful disappointment you are. You are not worthy of my respect. You are not a god. You are simply bad product.
I think this scene right here is some major foreshadowing for what we might see in season 4. You see, after what Homelander did to that protester, the backlash might actually overwhelm him. Because like I said, he might be crazy, but he does care about how the public thinks about him. And maybe the cult that he gains isn't strong enough for him. So we might finally see him realize he needs a person to support him through it. And what better person is that than Stan Edgar? Now you might be asking yourself, why would Stan Edgar want to work with Homelander after he betrayed him? Well, Homelander never actually really betrayed Stan. It was actually his his own adopted daughter, Victoria Newman. Homelander was just kind of an asshole to him and acted like he was on top of the world, but he never actually did anything to him. And as we all know, Homelander is pretty close with Victoria Newman. They're kind of working together. She's the reason that Homelander found his son, and which I think Homelander could use as a way to get close with Stan Edgar again. And I actually have no way of explaining how they would do this, but maybe they could just work out some sort of deal where Homelander will do something for Stan involving Victoria. Or it might not be anything related to that. It could just be Homelander just straight up admitting to Stan he was wrong and he's sorry. I don't see why Stan wouldn't forgive him because he really didn't do anything. He was just kind of an asshole. And I'm not entirely sure how Stan could get him out of the backlash, but he could definitely take a more coordinated approach to handling the situation. Now, as for how long this duo will last, I really don't know, but I definitely think it'll be as long as the length of the backlash, since that's going to be a major thing slowing down Homelander in season 4. But what if Homelander ignores the backlash and doesn't want to commit mass destruction? Well, that's where Homelander for President comes in. So as I was saying earlier, Victoria Newman and Homelander are pretty close. They both did favors for each other, and they both kind of don't like Stan Edgar. Now, basically, this theory is the same as Homelander's teaming up with Stan Edgar, but instead of Stan Edgar, it's Victoria Newman. The reason why I think he'd take this approach is because Victoria Newman is running for president. And maybe it does revolve around how the public handled the season 3 finale. If there isn't as much backlash, or if Homelander straight up doesn't care about the backlash, then I don't see him needing to go to Stan Edgar. Instead, he could take his new cult following and, make it even stronger by running for president alongside Victoria Newman. I really do see this theory as the most likely one, since the season 3 finale did show Victoria running alongside with, I forgot who that guy's name is, I don't really know. I don't think they did this for no reason. I think that Victoria Newman is going to play a bigger role in season 4, way bigger than we have in any other season. Now, if this does happen in season 4, I don't necessarily think this is Homelander's way of pursuing his evil actions. So not like anything like Theory 1 where he's going to be mass destruction. I just think it's going to be his way of coping with the situation of, being the only one left that's kind of in the 7 and being the one that leads the 7. He's going to try and rebuild the 7 as we saw in the behind the scenes images, and just, put on this new facade of, Homelander for president. So I think that when the boys are trying to take down Victoria Newman, I don't think their plan is to also do Homelander as well, or, obviously they want to. They've been wanting to for the past 3 seasons, but, it's not going to be their main priority. That's why I separated these two categories from, mass destruction, because, you could say that he's going to go for mass destruction and also run for president, so he's like a dictator, but I really don't think so. I think it's a completely separate thing. But what if season 4 is actually Homelander's redemption arc, where it's not really anything, anything crazy he's gonna do, but instead it's gonna be him looking for redemption? That leads me into my 4th theory, Homelander and the boys. This theory honestly sounds like a really good approach and makes a lot of sense if there is gonna be a 5th season of the boys. The way this goes is that we saw Victoria Newman running for president, right? Obviously that's not a good thing for the boys. And we know that Homelander is probably gonna be despised by a lot of people, especially the boys, and he's been despised by them for a long time. And the boys have also started to gain a reputation, I feel like, like Starlight has joined them and everything. So maybe as a way to get redemption or forgiveness from them, maybe he helps them out take down Victoria. Because the boys can't just take down Victoria, they need to know someone who knows Victoria. And who knows Victoria? Homelander. This would make a lot of sense because I think the boys are liked by the public a lot, so he could also lean on them for support, as like he'll say, okay, I'll help you take down Victoria, but you also gotta help me fix my reputation. I also think this can tie in with the Stan Edgar theory, maybe that they all work together because, Stan might feel really betrayed about what Victoria Newman did. Out of these 4 theories, I personally see Homelander for president and Homelander and the boys the most likely. I really don't see him committing more mass murder because that's gonna end with him having to be killed, and Homelander's pretty much the face of the boys and he's kind of carrying the show. I really don't see him dying before the show ends. So I could easily see him trying to cope with this, new hate of what he did in the finale by, running for president and, rebuilding the 7 with Firecracker and Sister Sage, or taking down Victoria Newman in order to get redemption and, be seen as a better person. Let me know down below which of the 4 theories are most likely, and let me know if there's some other theories you guys might see happening. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a great day. Peace.